Hey guys, after 6 months of traveling through Asia, I'm back in the studio here. And if you're new here and we haven't met yet, my name's Chris Dunn. I'm known as the first Bitcoin trading and investing educator. I've been doing Bitcoin videos for over a decade now and have been actively trading Bitcoin since 2013. And in 2015, when Bitcoin was 200 bucks, I wrote this book, How to Trade Bitcoin for Serious Profit. And right now I'm working on an updated version of this book. So if you're not subscribed, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on the future book that I'm going to give away to all of you guys for free. Now, it's been forever since I've done a video about Bitcoin's price or made any predictions. And the reason why is because I've been absolutely disgusted with the state of crypto YouTube. And so the other day I sent out a poll on Twitter and YouTube. I said, I looked at the current popular crypto YouTube channels and I'm disgusted. They're mostly pumping microcap shit coins, doing paid coin promos, and really pushing high leveraged, irresponsible trading on newbies. And I have a backlog of about 60 video ideas that I think can help traders and investors see through the bullshit and really build real wealth. And I asked you guys, should I put them up? And 90% of you guys on Twitter said yes. And over 90% of you guys on YouTube also said yes. So here I am. I'm planning on putting out a ton of updated education to kind of complement the new book. So if you want to see that, go ahead and like this video up and let's jump into today's video. And what I'm going to talk about is what I think is coming next for Bitcoin's price throughout the rest of 2023. And to give that a little bit of context, I just want to show you this thread that I posted back in early January. I said, I've traded every boom and bust pattern in Bitcoin for 10 years now. So here's what I've learned about the mental game of market cycles and how to be a profitable trader or investor after I went full-time in 2013. And I posted this chart when price was around 17,000. And I said, look, it's hard as hell for most people to buy after price is down 70% or more off of all-time highs, which in this market cycle, Bitcoin so far has fallen about 75% off of all-time highs. And even if they know buy low and sell high, it's much easier to buy when the group think is cheering prices higher, right? So the big question that I get every single day of my life is, how much do I buy in a bear market? And there is one correct answer. That answer is you buy an amount that you wouldn't freak out and sell if price crashed another 90% from your buy price, and where you would still have dry powder or more capital to buy even lower. And you also buy an amount where you wouldn't have FOMO or fear of missing out if prices went up 10x from your entry price, right? So there's a balance there, and that number is different for everybody. And where I see a lot of newbies get wrecked is they watch some of these crypto YouTubers that promote really high leverage trading, and they buy and they have really tight stops, and then they get liquidated and they have to constantly refund their trading accounts over and over. I want to help you not do that. I want to put you in the small percentage of people that are profitable in the markets, because that's what happens. The mass majority of people lose their money to professionals, and I want to pull you into the winning side. So with that said, let's take a look at the charts. And here's what's happened so far. Just to give you some context, over the past couple of years, the market really got kicking here in mid to late 2020. We had a COVID panic, and we had an amazing buying opportunity down here as prices were crashing to around 4K. And then that led to about a year of a bull market, which got overheated, topped out. And then we've been in an extended bear market for about a year now. And as of right now, if we zoom in, you can see that price bottomed around 16 or 17K, and then recently broke this trend line of resistance and got above the 100 period and the 200 period moving averages, and now is testing major resistance at 25K. So I've actually been building back into a long position over the past 6 months and slowly kind of accumulating. I also had a short hedge on at one point, which is no longer there. So I'm net long. And right now I'm looking at this 25K as kind of the major resistance level that I think if we break above, the bull market is back on. Now, there's two major things that I want to dive into in this video. The first is the on-chain kind of fundamental factors. And I want to show you a bunch of charts to show you why I think the market is potentially bottoming here. And number two, also talk about the correlation that Bitcoin and really crypto as a whole has to the stock market right now, and why you should not ignore stock prices. So I'm going to jump over to my Glassnode dashboard here and show you about a half a dozen different charts showing you why I think that prices have been way oversold. And the first thing we'll talk about is stock to flow ratio, which a lot of people know about at this point. But basically what this chart does is it shows exponential gain on a logarithmic chart of Bitcoin's price since its inception. And every dotted line here is a Bitcoin halving where the new supply gets cut in half. And you can see over the past 3 market cycles, every time that we dip down, we have made a new all-time high, right? And right now, you can see that we're moving closer to the next halving, which is going to happen sometime around May 2024. And the popular narrative right now, I know a lot of people have been talking about this chart, and this is the bull case, right? This does not have to happen. There's no guarantee that this plays out. This is just a mental model for how to think of future prices and where we could potentially get to 6 figures. Now, if price represents and follows what's happened in the past, this is what it looks like. Right now, we're moving from the yellow into the orange territory, which you can see in prior market cycles. That's where price bottomed, right? So stock to flow ratio showing a potential pivot point here. The net unrealized profit and loss, NUPL, shows when there's extreme capitulation or euphoria and greed. And you can see here in 2015, 2018, and 2020, we had really solid buy opportunities. And back here in 2015, I was buying at $188. Here in 2019, we were buying in the 3 to 4K zone. And also we had a blessing from the COVID crash in 2020 where we were able to scoop up even more at 4K again. And then over the past several months, I've been buying into the 30s, down into the 20s, and some even into the teens. And as of right now, you can see that this indicator is showing a pop off of capitulation back into kind of the hope / fear area. The next indicator here is called the MVRV Z-score. And this also just shows overbought and oversold territory. And you can again see going back to 2012, there have been 1, 2, 3, 4, and now 5 times that we've dipped into the green territory. And we're starting to move up above off of that zone. Also, the next one we'll talk about is percent supply and profit. Basically, how many Bitcoins are in profit or underwater. And you can see whenever that number gets below 50%, where over 50% of Bitcoins are underwater, that's where the market typically pivots and moves up from. Now, this is a little bit of a lagging indicator. It doesn't exactly move quickly, but you can see whenever you're hitting all-time highs, literally 100% of Bitcoins are in profit. So right now, prices got way overextended, hit below 50%, and now they're popping back up to about 70%. We'll also talk about the realized HODL ratio. This is just another great oversold, overbought indicator. The one thing that happened, and a lot of people in the last market cycle were looking and anticipating 100K as the big price number, right? And stock to flow and a lot of these indicators, and people had this expectation of 6-figure profit. Why didn't that happen, right? And this is what I really want to drive home is technical analysis and on-chain fundamentals are only 2/3 of the equation that make up price. The third point, which I think is maybe even the most important, is market sentiment and mass human psychology. And what happens is when you have a mass majority of market participants, meaning investors, traders, funds, algorithms, when everybody is expecting something to happen, very rarely does that actually even play out, right? So it was almost what we call a crowded trade. Everybody was expecting 100K. You had mass euphoria in the markets. You had Elon Musk pumping Dogecoin on SNL. You had Mark Cuban saying really dumb shit about crypto. You had just every 12-year-old bragging to their aunts and uncles about their crypto gains, right? So when that happens, price gets overextended, and that's why it didn't go to 100K. And you can see that on this indicator. On the realized HODL ratio, we didn't actually make it into oversold territory like we did in the prior 3 market cycles. It was a trap, right? Also, reserve risk, another indicator showing oversold. And here's a more complicated cycle change detection via drilling methods. This is stuff that I'll talk about in a future video. But the basic here is looking at realized price. And you can see that anytime that Bitcoin gets at or below its realized price, that's where the capitulation happens. It's happened back in 2011, 2015, 2019, 2020, and now here we are in 2022 going into 2023, right? So again, none of this is guaranteed, but the data is showing that the market is rolling over and bottoming. Now, what is the big missing link here, or what is the other kind of caveat that we have to think about? It's the stock market. Whether you like it or not, Bitcoin is correlated to stocks right now. It's great when they become uncorrelated, but over the past year, they've been very closely correlated. And one thing I want to show you is the dashboard that I typically use on a day-by-day basis when I'm looking at Bitcoin's price chart. I'm looking at the NASDAQ E-mini futures contract, which, you know, this basically is just a 24/7 market or close to it for stocks. And then I've got the spot Bitcoin price. And if you look back, if we just do a weekly chart, you can see that since stock topped out here in November of 2021 and have been in their bear market, that's also where Bitcoin began its extremely deep drawdown. And if you take a look on a percentage basis from the all-time high, Bitcoin pulled back over 75%, where in prior market cycles, and I've talked about this in other videos, typically we get an 80 to 85% pullback. So there's still potential for Bitcoin to make a new low here. But I think that this was also a crowded trade. You know, a lot of people piled into shorts back here after the FTX implosion. And what happened, this became a crowded trade and then shorts got squeezed. And here we are at major resistance. So we're looking at the weekly chart. This is the 200 period moving average. And we're coming up off of 4 green weeks in a row. And over the past couple of days, I've started to feel a little bit of euphoria back on crypto Twitter and on YouTube and in the markets. I've just noticed people are like all of a sudden celebrating, right? 4 green weeks in a row. That to me says, hey, man, be careful in the short term. There might be a trap coming. My ideal situation would be if we got a pullback to retest support, right? If we have like an inverse head and shoulders potential where, again, you can see we're at major resistance, which is 25K. What we have done, though, is we've made a higher high, right? Throughout all of last year, we were making lower lows and lower highs. This is the first time that we've actually made a higher pivot high from back here at 18K. And what I would actually like and prefer is if we got more consolidation inside of this zone, inside of 18 to call it 25, and then put in like an inverse head and shoulders here. Now, another thing that could happen is something like we saw back here in 2019, where when we broke above 4K, we were actually buying this breakout here, and it got overextended very quickly. And it went from 4 to 4 in just a couple of months, and it got overextended and needed a lot more time to consolidate before finally going on its epic run. So again, this is the thing. Markets don't move quickly all the time. They need time to coil up. They need time to consolidate and build momentum for that explosive pressure, right? So that's what I'm looking for right now is a pullback. I'm net long. I no longer have a short on. If we do get lower lows, I have a lot of dry powder to buy even lower if that does happen. Now, let's talk more again about this correlation to stocks and why it's so important. You know, right now there have been a lot of fears around a recession and inflation, and, you know, things got really, really bearish through the end of 2022. And if you guys watch the We Talk Money show that I do with Nikki and Travis, you know, both of them were making a case that, hey, we think that stocks could be bottoming out here. And over the past month or two, you can see that stocks are up actually quite a bit from this pivot low, up about 20%. And they've both, the NASDAQ and the S&P 500 have broken up above the 200 and the 100 period moving average. So we have a higher pivot high. We're above these moving averages. Again, very similar to Bitcoin. So the one caveat here, and we can talk about, stock to flow, we can talk about all these on-chain factors, but the reality is, guys, if stocks crash, I think Bitcoin goes with it until we get confirmation that they're no longer correlated. I think a best case scenario would be if stocks did crash and Bitcoin said, you know what? Hell no, I'm doing my own thing over here. I'm attracting new capital and I don't care what stocks are doing. But that just hasn't been the case. And you don't want to try to front run that. You don't want to try to guess when Bitcoin is going to start trading uncorrelated to equities, right? You just want the charts to be your guide and don't inject your own bias or your own opinions. The charts are truth, right? Price charts are just a visual representation of the actions that everybody's taking. And you can get a lot of the noise filtered out just by looking at the charts. So again, zooming out, talking about the big picture, there's three things you want to pay attention to: the technicals, which is the chart; number two, the fundamentals, which is on-chain data; and most importantly, number three, market sentiment, which, guys, if you've been in crypto for even just a few months now, you know that market sentiment has been dog shit terribly sad, right? With the FTX implosion, with the NFT implosion, with all the regulatory action. I mean, it's been bad. And that can, at times, when things are the most bearish, the most scary, the most fearful, that's a lot of times where the markets bottom out, right? I remember back here in 2015, January 2015, I will never forget this. I actually need to pull up Bitstamp because this is one of the only charts that actually even goes back this far. On this day, back here, January 15th, I believe it was, 14th, 2015, the market panicked from about 275 bucks down to the 160s, and we were here in the 180s buying this. You guys should have seen the emails and the tweets and the, just the messages I was getting of despair, because look at this price action, right? Came back from 1,100 bucks, and you're looking at this, and in 2 days it fell by 30 something percent, right? 30 to 40%. This is where, when things look at their absolute ugliest, a lot of times those are the pivot bottoms, right? So have we had true capitulation here? Look at this. The FTX panic, as of right now, is holding as the low. There's no guarantee that we're not going to get a lower low. So again, what's the best, or what is the right amount to buy for you? Think about this, right? This is called the no regrets trade management strategy, where you buy an amount that you wouldn't freak out and sell, or you don't get over leveraged and have really tight stops and then get stopped out and then see the price go in your favor. But you also buy an amount that's meaningful enough that if prices do go nuts, you're good, right? So guys, if you found this helpful, like it up. It's good to be back. Traveling's fun, and I was gone for half a year. And I'm always engaged with the markets, but it's always nice when we start to see these early signs of life. And again, I've been working really hard on the next version of my book that's going to be, I did this thing back in 2015. So there's many, many more years of wisdom to pack into this thing. And I'm just super stoked. So make sure you're subscribed. I'm going to be giving this out to everybody for free when it's ready. And I've got a lot more videos planned in the future. So again, like it up, share it with anybody that you think would get value from it. And I will see you in the next video. Take care.